I got a terminal review unit, which is an e-ink dashboard that promises to give you this ambient, distraction-free information, and here is my honest take. The concept of this is genuinely appealing. We're surrounded by screens that all compete for your attention, and the pitch here is that this is just a basic screen that just purely exists. To start with the display, we have an e-ink display with no backlight. It is, I'd say, paper-like as a whole. The battery lasts for months, not days. It's got a 7.5-inch screen. There's a physical kickstand or a wall mount and a soft touch enclosure, which is actually pretty nice. And it feels nice in the hand. I really like this material, even though it does pick up fingerprints a little bit. It connects to your local Wi-Fi. You see it's not connected right now, but this would render from Terminal's cloud servers, not locally on your device. So this is web first. That is where you kind of customize things, and that's actually what's pushing the data to the monitor itself. There is an iOS companion app that I've been trying out in the test flight beta, but they also have bring your own server as an option. So if you are more privacy conscious and you don't want to rely on the cloud, you can bring your own server and host that data yourself. It's all open source firmware. Now, the real magic here is in the plugins. There are hundreds of plugins, from weather plugins, calendars, YouTube stats, server uptimes, RSS, stocks, really everything. And this is all handled on the web. I like web apps, so it's very smooth, no app is required, and it's all browser-based. First impressions for me were quite exciting, and it genuinely felt like I had infinite possibilities when I got started. So I put it on my kitchen table, so when I eat breakfast, I would take glances at it, or when I get home and I go into the kitchen, or I'm cooking, pretty much anytime I'm in the kitchen. And the rotation problem is how I'd overall classify this section, which is this by default uses something called a playlist model, where the screen cycles through your plugins on a timer that you set. This sounds fine and actually really good in theory, but if you want to check a specific screen or a plugin, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever the rotation is just doing. Now, there is a manual override. There's a physical button here on the back of the device, so you can pick this up, press it, and wait for the e-ink to refresh. So I kind of wish there was some button on the side or something like this that would make this a little easier to do a manual rotation. So as a passive device, that could be good, but typically when I actually wanted to actively look at this, it's because I wanted to see a specific screen, and what are the chances it was on that screen were slim. So it's not really a flaw with the device itself, it's more so just how I was expecting to use it. A good way to kind of get around this, there is a split screen called mashup, so you can do 50-50, or you can do, I think, a 2x2 quadrant. It's buried in the playlists tab, so it's not surfaced in the onboarding flow. So that feature can kind of help this problem, so you can get more things on the screen and still do it in an intentional manner where I want to look at something specifically when I go to actually look at the device. Now, speaking of plugins, I think it's really important to touch on the plugins themselves. I'd say like 90% of them are community built. And some are polished, some are really reliable, some are really good plugins that I loved, and some were totally broken, outdated, didn't work well, features didn't really work as expected. There's really no quality signal in the plugin browser outside of popularity, and even for me, some of those popular ones just didn't work very well. So I'd say the weather one worked really well. Pretty much all the ones that are formerly from Terminal themselves worked really nicely. The YouTube stats were good, and I'd say others were almost like 50-50 in terms of if I even wanted to use them based on the quality. Now, to give you my thoughts and who I think this is really for, I kind of struggled with this device for myself. Not because there's anything wrong with it, just because it was really hard to find a use case for it. I think some of the good use cases for this device are things like 24/7 server uptime monitors, and always on weather display, a family kitchen calendar. And I think if you just have it set to that one screen, then it makes sense because it's now an intentional decision-making thing where it's like, I know I can check my server stats, every 5 minutes. But I think the playlist rotation model just didn't really work for me because it was not as intentional. It's just kind of ambient awareness of things going on. So I think that the real use case for this device, for me and maybe for a lot of other people, is to have one set for one exact use case. So maybe one on your desk that shows you your servers and if they're all live, maybe one at your kitchen table, it tells you your recipes for the week. So I think you have to buy multiple for specific use cases, and that's really the power user answer and what I would do. But at the price tag, I think that cost is going to add up fast. And so maybe this is like a 1 or 2 devices type of deal for most people. Now, they do have Terminal X as well, which is new. So this is a 10.3-inch touchscreen, 16 grayscale, faster refresh. It's more expensive, so it's a bigger commitment. But it's worth knowing about if the problem of this one is that the screen feels too small or the refresh rate isn't as fast as you'd want it to be. Now, I have a lot of tech. I review a lot of tech. That's kind of what comes along with the job back here. So I spend a lot of time thinking about which devices I review, actually end up in my day-to-day workflow. And this device specifically made me realize that a device can be perfectly functional and it can be a really nice device that I have a lot of appreciation for, and it can just not be the right device for my workflow. But there is definitely a person who this device is for. I don't think my experience needs to take that away from you. So yeah, I think this device is really cool. I love the concept. I love the web-based approach. I love how it's all open hardware. I love the device quality. It's just not how I use technology. I think the person that this is for is somebody who wants, again, a dedicated, always on display for just one specific thing, doesn't mind tinkering through plugin quality variants, and isn't trying to just actively interact with it. I think the vision of these devices and trying to get people to use more focused technology is very much there, and I love that vision and I'm all for it. And so I really respect kind of the philosophy behind the device. Otherwise, let me know what your thoughts are if you've used this device, or what you think about it and what you'd like to see in something like this. I'll see you all next time on Techlore, and if you want to see some more focused tech, we do reviews of other fun focused tech products that we'll leave here on the screen as well. See you then.